Okay, so the world really feels like it's holding its breath right now. If you've been watching the news, you know why. July 2025. The war in Ukraine seems to have entered a new and frankly much more dangerous phase. Today, we're going to do a rapid deep dive into these latest developments, really try to unpack what's shifted and why it's so critical for you to understand what's going on.
Yeah, and what's really striking and quite concerning is just the sheer scale of recent events. Russia launched what looks like its most intense air attack campaign since this whole thing started. We're talking over 500 drones and missiles hitting Ukraine. And it's a specific mix, Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, notoriously hard to shoot down, plus Kalibr cruise missiles, and then just waves of those Shahid drones.
So not just random pot shots. This sounds very calculated.
Exactly. It seems like the Kinzhals are for those high-value, hard-to-reach targets trying to get past the best defenses. And the Shahids, well, so many of them, it's almost designed to just swamp Ukraine's air defense, make them use up missiles. It's this kind of systematic degradation strategy. And tragically, it did result in at least one death reported, several injuries, hitting cities, homes, even power stations and hospitals.
But even with all that coming down, Ukraine's defense, well, it held up remarkably well, didn't it? Intercepting over 475 of those threats. That's an incredible number.
It really is. Speaks volumes about their capabilities now.
And amidst those statistics, there was this moment of, well, incredible heroism. Ukrainian pilot Eltin Kol, Maxim Ustimenko, shot down 7 drones, before sacrificing his own life to protect civilians on the ground. What does something like that tell us, about the human side of all this tech warfare?
It's a stark reminder, isn't it, that even with drones and AI and missiles, the human will, the drive to defend, that's still absolutely central. And connecting that back, the fight isn't just aerial. On the ground, Russian forces are pushing really hard. Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk regions. Major activity there. Plus, there are these concerning reports about more troops building up near Sumy and Kharkiv. Ukraine says there's no full breakthrough, but, well, the pressure on the front lines is clearly intensifying. It suggests Russia's not backing down and trying to seize more territory.
And the ripples are spreading, like you said, beyond the immediate battlefield. We're suddenly hearing about South Korean intelligence saying North Korea might be getting ready to send troops to help Russia.
That's right.
If that actually happens.
Yeah.
Wow, that's direct foreign intervention on a scale we haven't really seen yet in this war. What kind of precedent does that even set, pulling in countries like North Korea?
It fundamentally shifts the global view, doesn't it? Makes it feel less like a regional European conflict and more like a truly global proxy struggle. And it raises the question, how is Ukraine responding? Well, they've launched their own advanced countermove, Operation Spider's Web, they're calling it.
Spider's Web.
Yeah, it's an AI-guided drone offensive, specifically targeting Russian air bases down in Crimea. And when we say AI-guided, it's not just jargon. It means these drones can likely adjust their own paths, maybe identify targets dynamically, coordinate attacks, all with less direct human control.
Yeah.
Makes them much harder to stop, potentially very effective against fixed sites like air bases.
Technology is just accelerating on all sides here. And speaking of tools, another big shift, Ukraine has pulled out of the International Landmine Ban Treaty.
Yes, that was significant.
Their reasoning is pretty blunt. They say they need every possible defensive tool, especially since Russia has reportedly used banned weapons itself inside Ukraine. It really shows the kind of desperate calculations being made, doesn't it?
It does. It reflects the sheer intensity of the fight. And you see NATO responding, too. Members have now pledged to boost military spending, aiming for 5% of GDP by 2035.
5%? That's a huge increase from current levels for most members.
It is. It signals a real strategic shift, a recognition of, a less stable world, perhaps. And Germany, for instance, is fast-tracking new missile systems for Ukraine, so the aid is accelerating, too.
But every action has a reaction. Russia is hitting back rhetorically, warning about, quote, catastrophic consequences if NATO keeps stepping up support.
Which naturally raises fears. Could this spiral further? Beyond Ukraine, regional, even global, the stakes feel incredibly high right now.
So wrapping this up for you, our listener, what we've seen this month is just a rapid, multi-front escalation, intense air war, grinding ground attacks, new tech like AI drones, major diplomatic moves like the Landmine Treaty, and this potential widening of international players with North Korea.
Yeah, it's a lot to process. And maybe the thing to reflect on is how this combination, the advanced tech like AI drones, the shifting alliances, these desperate measures, how might that reshape conflict itself in the years ahead? What does this convergence mean for global stability? And, how could these ripples, these shifts in technology and geopolitics eventually touch all of our lives? Something to think about.